This is Patrick with Top Tier Top Lane Guides, and today I'm going to be talking about a subject that is fairly beaten to death, but I feel like I have some new insight on it, some things that you might not have thought about before, so I thought it was worth making a video about. The main thing is when I see a student that is saying to me, tilting, like I'm tilting my ass off, I can't win games, I went on a giant lose streak. I have tried like counseling him, telling him, oh, you know, this isn't like, you have shown that you can perform at this level. There's no reason that, like, unless you just had a stroke, there's no real reason that you can't continue to perform at this level. And the only way to get back to that level is by continuing to try hard. But these things usually aren't so effective at actually reaching the student. And again, as a coach, a lot of my work is not teaching the student, like saying new things to them. A lot of it is reaching them and getting those things to stick, because if a student could just apply 20% of what they know to gameplay, that improves them. So I'm trying to get this them to know, like actually believe these things about tilt. And what I've sort of noticed in these losing streaks are that a few things sort of come up. First of all, there's usually some bad luck. Usually in the initial games, at the very least, or even throughout like a 20-game lose streak, they're put in a situation in which they have a lot of like inting teammates, a lot of flamers. They get bad games. These aren't sparked. Usually they're not sparked by nothing. Real life situations and stuff can further like make this happen faster, absolutely. But usually there is a degree of bad luck, and that's hard for people to comprehend. It's like in Hearthstone, if you have like a play that's 90% lethal and then you miss it and then they kill you, you feel to an extent, depending on how emotionally invested you are in the game, you can feel like that is more or less the way it's going to happen. If that happens twice, then you know you start to, gambler's fallacy might go the wrong way. Like it's a whole there's a whole host of things that can affect you emotionally that really just don't make any sense. But while you're in it, it's very real and a very hard situation to get over. Now, this bad luck means they had a few bad games. They usually get stuff beaten out of them, like their wherewithal and stuff. So they believe they can't turn around games because they just played a 40-minute game. 40 minutes is long in Season 8. They played a 40-minute game in which, you know, they got to really late game and they had a team comp that genuinely outscaled, and their team just threw. They had a Kha'Zix jungle that just sort of inted in and died and lost the entire game over nothing, over something that, you know, you didn't have to, like, there was no need for rush. So they see these giant mistakes and they believe they can't turn around games because all their effort is for nothing. The next belief, and this is a really big one and something I think people don't think about too much, they believe that they will reach a floor. So for example, I know a guy at this gaming bar I play to that is, depending on where he's at, Diamond 4, Diamond 3 player. So pretty good in the span of, you know, actual percentages. But the guy, he has a Smurf, and he legitimately tryhards, like, hard on the Smurf, to the extent that, like, he cares a lot. He freaks out over these games. He's a rager. He freaks out over games that he can't win on the Smurf, and he legitimately can't win a lot of them. That account is like Plat 4, Plat 3. That is a gigantic difference between Diamond 4, Diamond 3. Remember, as you get higher and higher, it's sort of exponential. So it's a bigger difference than like Gold and Plat 4 or whatever. But the guy just can't win. It's the belief that you will reach a, no matter how hard you really fuck around. I'm a Diamond 5 player. I'm not going to go, you know, below Plat 3. Like, but usually people vastly overestimate the level of which they can play at without really trying. You know, we've built the elo that we're at to an extent of like doing things that allow us to express ourselves as better players. If I go and play a champion that I've never played before, I'm going to be very likely to lose the game. Now, there is an elo in which I can competently play that champion, but I don't think my chances of winning, actually, if I play a completely new champion, are much better in, you know, Plat 1 than they are in Diamond 1, because maybe in Diamond 1 I can use a more macro-based strategy. So it's that level of champion knowledge and believing that you can actually stay reasonably high, and that there's no point because you think you're so close to that floor. Usually that's not the case. Usually the floor gets lower and lower and lower, and the Diamond 5 player will find themselves in Plat 5 if they're not careful, just by feeling like they'll reach that floor. And the reason that feeling of the floor is so strong is because it's such an emotional investment to win each individual game, especially when you're tilted, that you feel like, well, I was already, Diamond 1. If I'm Diamond 3 now, why the fuck do I, I just want to take a break. I want to relax. I'll stay Diamond 3, but they won't. They'll go lower, believe it or not. I just want to stay Diamond 3, and I don't want to emotionally invest myself in re-climbing. And that's due to, feeling that you're above these players because you've been higher ranked than them, all that stuff. The next one is a more improvement-oriented thing. But people believe that they can't learn anything from playing with lower elo teammates. And this is something that I've always stressed, that you really can learn a lot. There's a lot about the game that doesn't involve your teammates and doesn't involve your enemies. And one of the biggest things is just mechanics. The difference between someone who really just plays for fun and someone who constantly plays to improve and will improve faster is that the person that plays to improve, they'll pick the troll champion in low elo, right? If I get an opportunity to play with silvers, I'm not going to pick, well, I might, but the ideal player would not pick something that they are remotely serious at. They would find a troll pick, yes, but it's not just that. They would then they would find a troll pick that is hard enough to win with that it would actually challenge them. And then they will find out the weird strategy that they can use, the thing about the low elo players that they can exploit to win. And sometimes that's just I've played so much League of Legends that I know Blitzcrank, full AD Blitzcrank's damage numbers more than your champion's damage numbers, even though I've never played full AD Blitzcrank before. That is a thing, but reasonably, at most levels, you can find a pick that is hard enough for you to exploit. I noticed, actually, my girlfriend recently got in the league. Well, not recently, but a year ago. She doesn't play it that often. And when she plays, we like to go bot lane together because we're stereotypes. And what I've noticed is that we lose a lot of bot lanes, and she's a low silver level support, and God knows what I am, AD carry, but we're against high gold players at best, and but by a combination of disrespect and just not thinking about the game, going kind of on autopilot, which ties in with disrespect, I'm not able to carry her, even though I very much should be able to. So what I've changed is actually starting to try, and this allows me to actually get value out of the games. It's not just wasted time. Yeah, sure, we can have fun, but the actual enjoyment from League for me comes a lot from improving and the strategy aspect. So I really enjoy when I can beat people who are clearly worse than me consistently. So I've adapted my play style as AD carry, and then I have to pick more and more troll champions just to keep on challenging myself, figuring out what strategy I can exploit. So very much you can learn from players who are a couple divisions below you. If you're Diamond 1 and you drop to Diamond 3, you can learn a lot about the game still. Even this is very clear. A lot of challenger players, most challenger players, they don't play on their mains all the time. They mostly play on their smurfs, and they mess around a lot. But and this is granted a lot due to queue time, and there are challenger players who literally just spam one account or 2 accounts in challenger, and they don't have a real Rift Raffin on NA comes to mind. That account is level 80 or something before 2018. It's insane. But and it's rank 10. It hovers around, plays a lot, so it changes. But this level of play doesn't really have to come from only playing in challengers. A lot of what you learn about the game is by playing against players who are within a certain range of you. But this is a very broad range, a lot broader than people think. So you definitely can improve at the game without feeling like the players are beneath you and therefore you can't learn, because that at the end of the day, for learning oriented people is a real challenge. And I don't want people who legitimately care about learning the game and aren't just concerned about their elo and stuff in the short term. People who can see, you know, man, I got better. I got from silver 5 to silver 5. Why the fuck can't I get master? Like, they see every single step and they know it's a long road. Those improvement oriented people, those can tilt too. They can tilt too. But they have to know that they are not going to stop improving because they've, you know, gone down in elo. They can learn from everyone, and there's a degree of humility there, you know, but it's the idea that, you know, and even in real life, you can learn from people that you don't necessarily agree with their life choices. You can learn from homeless people that you might look down on. You shouldn't, but you might look down on some guy, and he will have some wisdom that you don't know, and if you keep an open mind, you can learn from him. Similarly, that silver 4 that's telling you to kill yourself might actually do something that you don't know. So being able to keep an open mind about the players, and just the fact that the game is so much not about the players, is definitely very important. So with all those things being said, don't tilt. It's always going to be hard, but like I said, from the majority of people that I have analyzed, and there are exceptions, when I've gone to look at their games that started on this tilt streak, it was almost always a combination of bad luck and their own mentality being destroyed slowly. So you have to know that the bad luck won't continue. It can't continue forever. Well, it can, but don't worry about that. Don't be a special snowflake. It's not happening to you. The other thing is that most likely you are going to have a fine time improving at a lower elo, and there have been plenty of cases where I've got students that were like, actually really some of my best students, these guys dropped down a few ranks after maybe they climbed and they dropped down a bit. They felt like they couldn't learn. I talked with them. They focused on learning at that elo, and then they shot past their original elo, like just like that, like one big climb streak. And that just happens. So try not to get too concerned about your day-to-day rank, and actually improve at the game. I know you've heard that before, but hopefully this provided a new perspective that actually makes that more real to you, a more realistic reason to believe that. All right, that's all. Peace.